Well, hello everybody. Hello, as I peruse over my little mini memorabilia display for you to kind of give some color and show to this video, which I am not going to be appearing in other than maybe my hands. That's about it. And here we are. Okay, look at this piece of junk, will you? Okay, here is one of my original from 1976 Beatles news clippings and pictures book number 1, which I indicated is full. And I gotta just give credit here, folks. I was not gonna make this video. I may have to make 2 videos to show everything, but I wasn't gonna make these videos. I was inspired, and I'm gonna give total credit to Joe, Mr Mayo, for, kind of giving me the little push to do these videos, because he went to that flea market and found that fabulous scrapbook. And he showed it off through a series of videos. They were excellent. I really, truly enjoyed those. He then took a couple of his own little scrapbooks that he made in the 70s, the late 70s, and they were in like photo album type books. And I just thought they were great also. And then I'm looking at my own little crappy ones, which, as you can see, I just took executive note paper, made a little stack of it, and then stapled the top and made like a little flip books to put my articles in. This is what I did back when I was a young teenager. I wish I had had the foresight to get a photo album or something better, and maybe someday I guess I could convert these and put them into a book, but this is the way they've been for over 40 years, folks. And I wasn't going to touch them because I figured they were just pieces of junk. But Joe said, hey, why not do a response video to my videos? So that's what I'm doing, folks. So thanks to Joe for giving me the push here. And I guess I will show my Beatles news clipping books. And here we go. And I'm going to try to go through them as quick as I can, just to show you what I have in here. I may stop at a couple of spots to, stress something that I think is important or something I'm really glad I have, like the first article. So let's get right into it, okay? And I hope you enjoy this. All right. So the first thing I do want to talk about for a minute or two here is this article, which I got in February of 77. Could Klaatu be the Beatles? Mystery is a magical tour. And there's the famous Klaatu album. Anyone who's a Beatle fan knows the story of Klaatu from Canada. They were a Canadian band, and they were thought to be the Beatles way back in the day when they put out this first album. There were no names on it, no band member names, no listing of musicians, nothing, none. And people started to really believe this was the Beatles. And why they started to believe it was because there was an article. If you read the history of it, the originating article which started the rumor was in the Providence Journal Bulletin by a writer named Steve Smith. And the reason this is significant is because I have that actual article right here. Here it is, the one written by Steve Smith from the Journal Bulletin staff, and how he talked about just before Christmas, he listened to some refreshing new album. It sounded incredibly Beatle-ish. He checked the album, there's no credits, no listing of anybody, and he just thought, oh, this could be the Beatles. And then the article just basically goes through the whole, I'll just scroll down a little bit if you want to try to look at it. Sub Rosa Subway sounds like 68, 69 Beatles. The vocals are exactly like Paul McCartney's. Oh, yeah, okay. They're similar, I'll say that. The drumming is like Ringo, and the guitar work like George and John. Dr. Marvello sounds like George Harrison. There was a whole big thing, folks. This guy, when he wrote this article, he really caused a stir, let me tell you. According to Klaatoons, the band's publishing company, Klaatu, can also mean been here before. Return? This was a big thing, and I remember being a young teenager getting all pumped up and excited over this, that Klaatu could actually be the Beatles. So I just thought you'd get a kick out of seeing this, that this is the original article which started the rumor. Steve Smith. Yeah, I wonder if he took some flack. The album's musical and lyrical clues left 4 possibilities as to whom this mystery band could be. 1. It's the Beatles. 2. It's a couple of the Beatles with other people. 3, it's a Beatles-backed band. Or 4, which it ended up being, a completely unknown but ingenious and talented band. That's what it was. Is it the Beatles? You are welcome to draw your own conclusions. And if yesterday is here, let it be. There you go. There's the original article, folks. Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of just peruse this quick. This is, I jump around when I did my scrapbook. I'll go from 76, 77, 78. I just stuck articles here and there. This is when Jimmy McCulloch slipped in the tub, and they had to postpone the Wings big Wings Over America tour. This little picture goes with the article, which I'm about to show you. Get ready for a Beatle blitz. And what this is all about is just all that craziness of 76 with Paul touring. Got to Get You Into My Life is released as a single and does well, goes top 10. The album Rock and Roll Music comes out. It was just a great time to be a Beatles fan, and this article basically makes mention of how younger people like young teenagers, 10 to 15-year-olds, have scarcely heard of the Beatles, says Dan Davis, Vice President for Creative Services, Advertising, and Publicity at Capitol Records, and that these young people were discovering the Beatles for the first time and getting into it. And isn't it so funny that all these years later, in 2019, we still have young people getting into the Beatles, going crazy over them, in fact. January 77, Let It Be. Question, hey, can you tell me, well, hey isn't there, I'm elaborating a little bit. Can you tell me how to get into the International Committee to reunite the Beatles? Oh, this is great, huh, for some gullible young people out there? Yeah, just send $1 to the group. Where? Not London or Liverpool. Send it to P.O. Box 243 in Merrick, New York. Yeah, that's how you reunite the Beatles. Oh boy, who made a bunch of bucks off that scheme, huh? Blitz in Britain. This talks about how the Blitz from 76, not only happening in America, but also what they were releasing in Britain, but then it talks about what's happening in America with the stores, all kinds of promos, mobiles, commercials, Beatles advertising. It really was a Beatles blitz in 76, folks. It really was a big deal. January of 77, you see I jump around. James Paul McCartney featuring Wings Special. I must get this out of my TV guide. But it's not John. Oh, wait. It's not Paul McCartney or James Paul McCartney. It's superstar John Paul McCartney. I don't know if I want to see that. Oh, well, what the heck, huh? What a mistake. John Paul McCartney and Wings. Unbelievable. June of 76. Beatles are back. What a big year that was. Wow, I'm just reminded of that. What a big, big year to be a Beatle fan. John spends the summer in Montauk, Long Island, from where Truman Capote was arrested for drunk driving. Clipping another car. Beatle, beware. Well, hopefully John didn't do any drunk driving. There's talk that during Paul McCartney's closing number at his June 26 LA Forum concert, the other 3 Beatles plan to walk on stage and join him in a song. Well, we know Ringo did, right? Was that the date Ringo did that? But the other 2, George and John, not so much. Beatlemania leftover records worth up to $500. Let's see what I got here. I didn't put too many pages in these scrapbooks, I must say. April of 78. What's John Lennon up to? Does he plan to release an album? Also, do you have an address for him? Hasn't released a record in 2 years. You want to write to him? Here you go. Are the Beatles really getting back together this spring to play for the benefit of the whales and the porpoises? That's what I heard. What about the boat people? I thought they were reuniting for the boat people. Oh, that was later. This is 78. So in 78, they were going to reunite and play for the whales and the porpoises and the fishes. But a year later, they were going to get together and play for the boat people. Oh boy. Let's see. Does Paula Wings have a fan club? Please send to me, blah, blah, blah. Yep, okay. This is kind of cool. I'm glad I saved. This is my original hype sticker on my rock and roll music album that I got in 1976. I thought that was kind of cool that I saved that. Who remembers these random theater showings of Beatles material back in the 70s? It was a big deal. Here's one advertised here. Overwhelming demand. It's been held over. They used to show clips that you can get pretty readily and handily on YouTube now. Concerts, rare footage, you know, usually in poor quality. But they would have a theater presentation. You could go and see Shea Stadium and the Washington Coliseum concert and all kinds of cool stuff at these theater showings. And I went to many of them in the 70s. That was one of them. This is attached to an article which to follow. I guess George showed up surprisingly at Copley Plaza in Boston. And there he is with Mo Austin. And here's the article. Oh, it's coming up. I'm sorry. Yeah, here it is. By George, both the Beatle and the Beef came. My God, said BIU's, blah, blah, blah. Who's hanging out at the Copley Plaza? See, it's him. Who? It's George. George Harrison, the ex-Beatle. He was supposed to be in California, but there he was. Copley Plaza foyer in Boston. It's kind of neat. Shaking hands, smiling, making polite noises. Polite noises. What the hell was he doing? Burping and farting? Oh, what? I'm sorry, folks. Okay. June 76, Paul on his tour. Paul last sang to American audience 10 years ago when he was just 23. Wow. This picture shows he can still send a crowd wild in 76. Yeah, and isn't it amazing that here we are in 2019 and he's still sending a crowd wild with his Freshen Up tour. So that's something to be said, folks, about this band. George fell by mystery illness, June of 76. It's not serious. Song was plagiarized. Yeah, we know that. We know what happened with that. October 76. They're going to show any of the Beatles movies in the near future? Well, Channel 56, which was a UHF channel around here, they've scheduled Yellow Sub and Help, and those are always the ones, folks. Every year they'd have a little Thanksgiving period showing of Beatle films. It was always those two. They never showed Hard Day's Night, Magical Mystery Tour, or Let It Be. This is kind of neat. When I went to one of those Beatles movie nights so we could see all the rare footage, I saved this ticket stub, and it's kind of cool because it actually was embossed with Welcome Back Beatles. Every song talks or tells a story. Yoko and LSD off the hook. This was about, I guess Cynthia was kind of slamming John that the reason their marriage broke up was because of LSD and Yoko. And John is responding here and basically saying, no, my marriage was long over before any of that happened. November 76, Ringo, former Beatle. He's become a star in his own right. Doing his own thing, November of 76. Yeah. Talking about Ringo, he was the orphan Beatle, and now he's doing his own thing, and he's surviving even though they've broken up. And his Ringo Rotogravure is out. John, Paul, and George all contribute songs. Paul and John and Linda appear on it. Pretty good. Yeah, here it is here. New album, Rotogravure. Closest to a Beatlemaniac will come to a dream come true. Lennon, McCartney, and Paul's wife Linda make appearances, and John, Paul, and George contribute songs. Okay, last page on this thing. McCartney's career is truly on the wing from January of 78. There was a lot going well for Paul then, coming off that tour a year earlier, and Mull of Kintyre, and little did we know when this article came out that London Town would be coming out. Okay, I'm going to end part 1 right there, folks. Let me do a part 2. Take care. Come back, please.